What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the competitor list just came out for this weekend's competition, and that would be the Flex Weekend Pro in Italy. So honestly, I'm a little bit surprised to see that Michael Krizo is actually not in this lineup. Maybe he's sitting this one out. I've heard that he's doing the Dubai Pro, which is towards the end of July, so maybe he's just kind of going back to the drawing board until then. And then I believe in a couple of weeks, there's the Mr. Big Evolution in Portugal. I believe that's on July 7th, so that's kind of in between now and the Dubai show. So maybe Krizo feels like after that showing in Spain this past weekend, he needs a few more weeks of prep to really dial it in and come in the kind of conditioning that he needs to have to win a show like this. But let's get to the Flex Pro Weekend competitor list. So you've got Andrea Bolzani, Kuba Keelan, Nathan Diasha is doing this one, Stanimir Itov, Anthony Gell, Bella Kokeni, Pawal Kowalski, Justin Musial, Emir Omaragic, Behrooz Tabani, Daniel Thomas, Samir Trudy, and Christian Wolski. So I'm also surprised that we're not seeing Sas Harati in this lineup either from the Alicante, Spain show. So really Behrooz is kind of the main guy from that show coming into this Italy show. So we don't really have much of a rematch. There is Anthony Gell, who was 5th place at this past weekend's M Pro Classic, but that's not really a rematch between Behrooz and Bonac. I think Bonac is probably shutting it down until the Olympia. He has no reason to compete now that he's qualified. And again, I'm not sure why Sas Harati's not doing this show. Now, you also do have Christian Wolski in this lineup, who took 3rd at the Cali Pro. So he was kind of right there in the mix with Tonio, Emir, and Pablo there at the California Pro. But really, I think this show, the battle that we're going to be looking at is obviously going to be between Nathan Diasha and Behrooz Tabani. So we'll go into a video here of Bonac and Behrooz from this past weekend's M Pro Classic, since as of right now, we don't have any physique updates of Behrooz from this week other than his appearance at the M Pro Classic. Now, a lot of people felt this was a controversial decision. There was a lot of people that thought Behrooz should have won over William Bonac. And even going into the show, I kind of noted that in a lot of the comment sections, whether it was an update from Bonac, an update from Krizo, an update from Behrooz himself, it seemed like a lot of the comments were Behrooz Tabani fans saying that Behrooz was going to win this even before the show happened. And Behrooz did look incredible at the M Pro Classic. He certainly seems like he's getting close to kind of the peak of his fame. He's starting to get a little bit more well-known, a little bit more fanfare around him, and he's looking incredible at shows like this M Pro Classic. And I should point out that I looked at the scorecards after the show, and it was a close decision between Bonac and Behrooz at both prejudging and finals. I did think Behrooz looked a lot better at finals, so I was surprised to see that both scores were the same for prejudging and finals. But it was a 1-point decision. William Bonac with 4 points to Behrouz's 5 points at prejudging. Then again, 4 points to 5 points against Behrooz at finals for a total score of 8-10, a 2-point decision. So it was close, and that also means it was not unanimous, because these scores were reflective of 3 judges. For example, Michael Krizo in 3rd, his score was 9 at prejudging, 9 at finals, multiples of 3. Sas Harati in 4th, his score was 12 and 12, again, multiples of 3. So for Bonac to win with a perfect score, he would have had 3 at prejudging, 3 at finals instead of 4. But anyway, I think Behrooz looked fantastic in Spain. And I think based on what we saw from him in Spain, if he looks like this in Italy, I would actually say Behrooz is the favorite to win the Italy show, even over Nathan Diasha. He seems like he would be the guy. That being said, when I see all the controversy about Behrooz, people saying he got robbed, specifically one storyline that I've seen is, well, Bonac only won because Behrooz, they think he's not going to be able to get a visa to go to the Olympia. So they gave it to Bonac because they know Bonac can go to the Olympia. That's kind of the conspiracy theory that I've seen. You guys got to understand, this promoter and even the judges at this show, they have nothing to do with the Olympia. They're not even the same judges at the Olympia. It doesn't benefit this promoter at all who goes to the Olympia. It doesn't matter to him. These promoters make money off of their show that they're promoting And that's it. It would make absolutely no sense for this promoter to rig his show so that another promoter could have a better lineup at the Olympia. So while I do think it was close, and I do think that robberies do happen in bodybuilding, although I think they're very rare, if that's the theory behind this one, I'm not buying that for a second. I really think Bonac should get his props on this one. He came back when a lot of people thought he couldn't. He revamped his physique. He had a fresh look to his physique. A little downsized, yes. There were some places, yes, I saw the pictures where people zoomed in on his lats. It looks like he had a lat injury on one side. People zooming in on his glutes. He had a lump on his glutes. Like days after he already won the show, people are like shredding apart his physique still, trying to like stir this argument more that he should not have won. And I feel like that's what sometimes gets so toxic about bodybuilding. The guy made a really impressive comeback at 42 years old after a long hiatus, over a year from competing. And the bottom line is he looked good. He looked probably the best he's looked since like 2019. He had some little flaws here and there, but yeah, I think he 100% deserved to win. Nick Walker in New York had some flaws here and there, but I still think he 100% deserved to win New York. All right, but moving on from that. Next up in the news, we have a couple different updates from Rubiel Mosquera, a.k.a. Neckzilla. Right now, under 6 weeks out from the Dubai Pro, which is the show that he says he's doing, again, after skipping New York, after skipping both Arnold Classics, so we'll see. But he did get third place at his pro debut behind only Michael Krizo and Samson Dauda, so that was impressive. But the question that I think a lot of people want to see answered from Neckzilla is, can he win a show, A, and B, can he get to the Olympia? A lot of people have already kind of jumped the gun after his pro debut and have already been talking about, well, how would he place at the Olympia? Would he be top 10? Would he be top 6? Some people saying he could win the Olympia already. But I think that obviously the question that we need to answer first is, can he get there? And realistically, aside from Dubai, there are a lot of competitive opportunities between now and the Olympia for him to qualify, but he seems like a guy who's not willing to compete a lot. And what I've heard is that he's got a really good sponsorship deal, and he's paid very well, so there's not a whole lot of incentive for him to really compete for the prize money, and I think that's why it seems like he's kind of picking and choosing only the shows that he really wants to do. And this Dubai show has quite a bit of money attached to it. Now, like I said, we've got several updates here, and he has been training over at Oxygen Gym, and most of these updates would be between 5 and 6 weeks out from that Dubai Pro. And he looks monstrous. He looks full. He looks big, vascular, just overwhelming size from Neckzilla, and that's kind of been the impressive thing about him so far. But will he be in shape? Like I said, I mean, crazy fullness, super 3D physique, a lot of just round, crazy muscle bellies that he has. But does he look shredded? Does he look 5 weeks out, or maybe we should say 5.5, I guess? I don't know. I like Rubiel's physique. I think he's a freak. I think he's one of the guys that gets people excited to watch competitions if he competes. But I still just kind of have this feeling, and I've talked about this before, how, you know, when I did the bodybuilding history videos, I did so many videos about these kind of forgotten mass monsters that maybe did a couple shows, never won a show. Some guys maybe did the Olympia once, didn't place well, but these mass monsters with these crazy physiques that either didn't compete a lot or didn't do well or never came in shape and just kind of got forgotten. But you look back at some of their old pictures and they look like crazy, insane freaks, and you wonder, how did this guy never win the Olympia? In some of these crazy pictures and videos that we see from Rubiel, give me that vibe. With the track record of him not doing these shows that he says he's going to do, he looks like the biggest freak in the world in these updates. But will he ever win a show? Will he ever get to the Olympia? I think that's the big question. And he gives me like a future forgotten mass monster vibe, to be completely honest. I mean, whatever the reason was, whether it was visa issues or him just not getting back to the promoters or lack of communication or miscommunication, whatever it was, like in an instance like the Arnold Classic, committing to both of those, the UK and the US back-to-back, and then not showing up to either one is pretty significant when you consider the fact that those shows are invitationals. How likely do you think they're going to be now to invite him back again and put him back on that competitor list after he blew off both their shows back-to-back? And then to blow off New York right after that, probably the third or fourth biggest show in bodybuilding. Like, he basically blew off all the shows, the biggest shows, except for the Olympia. And maybe he had valid reasons, maybe he didn't. But I think for a guy like him that has so much momentum going for him right now, so much hype and excitement, and so much just chatter about this Neckzilla guy, this early in his career, I think these are like career-damaging moves. To be blowing off some of the biggest shows and biggest promoters in the IFBB right when you're about to have your moment, when you got the most hype. So we'll see if he actually shows up to Dubai. I hope he will, because I really do think he's one of the best bodybuilders in the world. If he comes in shape, the amount of muscle that he has, these freaky body parts that he's got, he's dangerous, no doubt about it. That physique shredded at the Olympia would absolutely, I think, hurt some feelings. But he's got to get there first. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, it looks like we are getting close enough to the Olympia now that we're starting to see some of the top guys that have already qualified, like Nick Walker, for example, starting to post updates already at 16 weeks out. And we've seen this from guys like Derek, we've seen this from guys like Samson, and now Nick. And I saw a lot of people talking about this update from Nick because obviously he looks very impressive. And if this is his starting point for his prep for his Olympia, and he's already in relatively good shape, it's probably very good foreboding for his placing at the Olympia. I even saw a bunch of comments on this post saying they already think he's going to win the Olympia. Obviously, at 16 weeks out from the Olympia, I think it's really way too early to make any kind of judgment about how these guys look. But I will say this. I do think that Nick needs to look better at the Olympia. And I would even say significantly better at the Olympia than how he looked in New York. Yes, he looked good in New York. He was good enough to win. He was conditioned in New York, but only really conditioned enough to win. I really don't think that version of Nick that we saw in New York would beat Samson, Hadi, or Derek on the Olympia stage. He needs to be better than he was in New York by a substantial margin. Tighter conditioning, tighter midsection, bigger, more separated quads. I think those are like the three big things for Nick. But that being said, I think Nick knows this, and I think Nick will be better at the Olympia. I don't doubt that. Nick, it's not like Nick was born yesterday. Nick knows what he's doing, and I think he takes feedback that's valid. And I'm sure he got similar feedback to what the fans are saying from his coach. And the head judge, Tyler Mannion, when he did his recap of New York, he even essentially gave that same feedback. So it's not like I'm saying anything here that Nick doesn't know. So I think he will be better at the Olympia. He knows what he needs to work on, and I think he's going to do that. But if I'm being honest, the New York Pro version of Nick, I don't think would be top 3 at the Olympia. He has to be better. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And I think the final story for this video is going to be this latest physique update from Hunter Labrada we got a few hours ago. This one at 12 weeks out. He looks really impressive, and I think he's kind of underrated right now. Not a whole lot of people are talking about Hunter as one of the top guys at the Olympia this year. And to be fair, he hasn't qualified yet, so that would be a premature conversation. But he looks really impressive. And keep in mind, he's 12 weeks out. So we just showed earlier in this video updates from Rubiel at about 5 weeks out from the Dubai Pro. And yes, very round, very full, very 3D. But I think Hunter honestly looks more conditioned in this video at 12 weeks out than Rubiel does at 5 to 6. You see detail in Hunter's physique here that I don't think you see from Rubiel's. I just think that the improvements that Hunter has made in the past couple years has been pretty clear. And earlier in his career, he was at one point top 4 at the Olympia. So you could make the argument that with improvements, why could he not be back in that top 3 or 4 conversation even this year? Why couldn't he jump ahead of a guy like Nick or Samson? But I guess we'll see. This video is getting a little bit long, so I'll wrap it up there. Let me know what you guys think about all these stories in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.